بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، نشكره على هدايته ونستعين به ونتوب إليه، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف المخلوقات سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of here and the hereafter. We thank Him for the guidance we receive from Him, and we ask for His assistance, and we also repent to Him for our shortcomings. We greet and salute the Holy Prophet of Islam, the most select and honored individual, and his pure progenies. Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the 22nd night of our programs from ICA. I pray humbly for all of you to be safe and protected, inshallah. قال أمير المؤمنين عليه الصلاة والسلام في الخطبة الشقشقية: فلما نهضت بالأمر نكثت طائفة ومرقت أخرى وقصت آخرون، كأنهم لم يسمعوا كلام الله حيث يقول: تلك الدار الآخرة نجعلها للذين لا يريدون علوا في الأرض ولا فسادا والعاقبة للمتقين. بلى والله لقد سمعوها ووعوها ولكنهم حليت الدنيا في أعينهم. When I took up the reign of government, one party broke away, another turned disobedient, and the third began acting wrongfully, as if they had not heard Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying in the Holy Quran that the abode in the hereafter we assign it for those who intend not to exalt in this earth and create mischief, and the end is better for the pious one. Yes, indeed, by Allah they heard it, but the glittering of the material world seduced them. Before we continue, I would like to offer my condolence on the 21st day of the month of Ramadan, the anniversary of the Shahada and martyrdom of Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salamu alayhi. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the privilege of being among His true followers and the followers of Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. We start as usual with the brief recap of a conversation we had last night. I stated that I would like to break away from the tafsir class being last night and tonight and today, related to the anniversary of the martyrdom of Amir al-Mu'mineen, focus on his character and his personality. I began with a biographical, very brief biographical account of his life, and stated that no one, truly no one, could give credit the way he deserves to the entire life, to the complex and the multifaceted life that he had, of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And because of his multiple dimensions, I also pointed out that the influence, no one in the early history of Islam has had so much influence, both symbolic and actual. and his contribution to the well-being of Islam, to the establishment of Islam, is unmatched. And the only way, in the light of this complex character which is before us, or personality, the only way we can deal or at least address some of or talk about him is to focus on one character at a time. We can either talk about his chivalry or shaja'a, or political administration, social justice, humility, zuhd, etc., etc. It's not possible to condense everything and talk about Ali, because he is a complex character. Now, then I moved and said, if we really wanted to understand the close relationship and the affinity between the Holy Prophet and Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salamu alayhi, the best place that we can start is a hadith on manaqib and fadail that talks about the virtues that Ali had. And I digressed a bit to move to Marhum Mutahari's comment about what makes, he posed the question, what makes a person to be loved by a certain group of people and at the same time be loathed and despised by others. To explain his point of view, by the way, Marhum Mutahari has 2 books on Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wasalam alayhi. One is a commentary on Nahj al-Balagha, which he approaches it thematically. He looks at themes within Nahj al-Balagha: God, justice, equity, governance, etc., etc., as a theme. And the second book is focused on the particular issue that we are talking about, or the question that he poses: what makes Ali unique, in a sense that he attracts certain group of people and yet rejects or repels others? What makes Ali attract Ammar, Miqdad, Salman, Abu Dhar, Maytham, and others, and at the same time repel Talha, Zubair, Uthman, Marmar ibn al-Hakam, Muawiyah, and the rest of them? To understand this and to be able to use the concept of compare and contrast to establish who these characters were, we have to go to the ahadith that are narrated from the Holy Prophet of Islam and explain, see how these ahadith paint a picture of who Ali is. Then easily we can go back and compare and contrast it to those who stood up against him. But going back to Marhum Mutahari's classification, he said the first group of people are what he calls neutral characters. They have no attraction, no repulsion. They make no waves, or they ruffle no feathers. He uses this expression: it's like a stone in the middle of the road, people pass by, nobody pays attention one way or the other. They have no friends and no enemies. That's the first group. The second group are those who would like to have attraction or claim to have attraction, but no repulsion. They fit any situation that one puts them in and any circumstance. For them, Ali or Muawiyah, it doesn't matter. Ibn Muljam or Ali is the same thing. Hussein and Yazid are the same thing. Muslim and Ibn Ziyad are the same. They want to fit in. They must be friends with everyone, whether they are crooks, whether they are criminals, murderers, it doesn't matter. Their goal is to fit in. The third group are those that repel without having attraction. they have a unique characteristics that people try to stay away from them. So nobody can be a friend of theirs, but plenty of enemy. And finally, the fourth category was a category in which people have both. They have friends and they have enemies. And then he spends huge amount of time trying to assess what makes this fourth group so unique. It's ultimately, I'll try to discuss it tonight, but it's the principle, not just having a principle. It's principle and being prepared to stand by it, even if you make a wave and challenge others that are opposing it. It doesn't matter who that person is. Inshallah, we deal with it. The part that I started tonight from Nahj al-Balagha, Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salamu alayhi is trying to paint a picture of what happened when finally a proper election took place, where people came forward to select by popular demand a Khalifa. Those of you who are familiar with the early history of Islam, Abu Bakr was not elected by popular demand. Abu Bakr was present in Saqifa, a small group of people chose him, including the second Khalif, and then brought him to the mosque for people to swear allegiance and do bay'ah. So there was no popular support, let's be frank. As far as Umar's appointment, again, this is history, that Abu Bakr appointed Umar with the council of Uthman. So there was no popular election over there or popular demand either. As far as Uthman, Umar appoints 6 people and says that you appoint somebody as a successor. And Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha amply addresses this extensively as to nature of that so-called shura. But let's leave that. Ali is chosen by popular demand. Then what happens? The Sheikh sermon, which is sermon number 3 in Nahj al-Balagha, clearly addresses or paints a picture. But before we go to that, so we will be able to make a just compare and contrast with the group who opposed him, we need to go back to al-Manaqib, a hadith from the Holy Prophet that depicted a much better picture by engaging them and putting them together to see what do these ahadith tell us about the character of Ali. And I have chosen 4 hadith. Number 1, Aliyun ma'al Quran wal Quran ma'a Ali. Ali is with the Holy Quran and Quran is with Ali. La yaftariqan means they are inseparable. So wherever Ali is, Quran is. That's one hadith. Aliyun ma'al haqq wal haqqu ma'a Ali. The same thing. La yaftariqan. Wherever Ali stands, haqq stands and truth is there. So if I have an historical picture in front of me, Ali on one side and others on the other side, by engaging these 2 hadith only, Aliyun ma'al haqq, Aliyun ma'al Quran, it's easy to conclude that where Ali stands, Quran stands, and haqq and truth and justice, no matter who's on the other side, they are false. Then comes the 3rd hadith, Ya Ali, anta ka nafsi. You are my own soul. And finally, Ana madinatul ilm wa aliyun baba. I am the city of knowledge and Ali is the gatekeeper or the gate. What the Holy Prophet is trying to present, and by the way, as I indicated last night, there are books on manaqib, multiple of them, that they have collected a hadith, not from the Shia sources, but also from our scholars and of the Sunni persuasion, that they have put them together talking about manaqib Ali, books of manaqib. What the Holy Prophet is trying to present is that Ali is the bridge between the heart of Quran and the essence of the prophethood. brings the two together. On the one hand, it says, Aliyun ma'al Quran, and on the other hand, it says, Ya Ali, anta ka nafsi, is my soul. You are like my soul. So Ali brings together the essence of the prophetic perfection as well as the heart of Quran. They come together or they assimilate together in this unique character. We call him Ali ibn Abi Talib. This statement is different, by the way, from other statements that we have in Al-Ghadir, story of Al-Ghadir. The Holy Prophet began his sermon by asking everyone present to answer the question, Alastu awla bil mu'minin min anfusihim, referring to a verse in the Holy Quran, Surah Ahzab, An-Nabiyyu awla bil mu'minin min anfusihim. That Prophet is closer to the believer than their own souls, which means what in this Prophet is trying to say, the verse in the Holy Quran is trying to project that the believer, once they submit to the command of the Prophet, they elevate and they gain from the perfection of the Holy Prophet, and they gain spiritual elevation. But this is not the same as the way that the Holy Prophet is trying to present Ali within these ahadith. Manaqib is trying to present, is pointing to the fact that ultimate identity of Ali is sanctifying the soul of the Holy Prophet and the heart of Quran together. There is no other character in early history of Islam that the Holy Prophet spends so much time unpacking about an ahadith, about manaqib, about his unique character. His relationship to Quran, relationship to truth, relationship to justice, and the relationship to the perfection of the prophethood. Here, Quran, the Holy Prophet is trying to present something, knowing tomorrow when you are faced with Ali on one side, Talha on the other side, if you have simple mind, you cannot make a distinction. Well, this is Sahaba, that is Sahaba. What's the Holy Prophet is telling you? Ali, look at Ali, that's where justice and Quran is, irrespective of whether Talha is with him or against him. That's what the Holy Prophet is trying to do. And in a society simple-minded, that simply they looked, and still today we hear the same thing, Sahaba, Sahaba, Sahaba. Ignoring and sidelining all these ahadith that we have about Manaqib Ali. That you don't need even to think, if you understand the character of Amir al-Mu'mineen as a bridge between the essence of the prophethood and the perfection of prophethood and the heart of Quran, then you have no doubt. And that indicates the simple-mindedness of the third group, Khawarij, that stood up against Ali for the simple reason that although he didn't want to, they forced him to accept the Quran. And while he was saying, these are nothing more than pieces of paper. We saw similar kind of things during the journey to Sham. Imam Zain al-Abidin said the same thing about Quran. He said, Mambar is nothing more than pieces of wood put together if it does not represent, or it's not the mean and the tool of presenting the truth and speaking to the power. So what the Holy Prophet is trying to do is that first we understand what is the image and what is the character. Then we go to the fourth category and say why, ask the same question. Why Ali attracted certain group of people and repelled and rejected group of others. Because Ali was principled and was prepared to stand with his principle no matter what. As the verse in the Holy Quran says, يُجَاهِدُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا يَخَافُونَ لَوْمَةَ لَائِمٍ. They struggle, in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are principled. They struggle in the path of Allah, and then they never hesitate or fear the reproach of any critics. It's because of that principle that people stood up in opposing to him. The best time that we can really establish where we have overtly visible hate and dislike and loathing of Ali is during that 4.5 years or whatever of his leadership. The 3 groups that came out, Amir al-Mu'mineen says that as soon as I was given the responsibility, although he insisted that you have chosen other people before me, go and choose somebody else. They said, we need Ali ibn Abi Talib to correct everything that has gone wrong within the leadership. And yet, as soon as he comes and takes the reign of governance, what happens? Resistance start. They were worried about social justice of Ali. One group of these that Ali calls them, the first group, Nakithin. The first group, these were people that worried about the social justice, the absolute justice of Ali. This is why they had to stand up in opposition to him. By the way, Ibn Abi al-Hadid, in his commentary on Nahj al-Balagha, has a footnote regarding this particular sermon, and he says, Amir al-Mu'mineen, or Ali ibn Abi Talib, has taken these 3 phrases from a hadith from the Holy Prophet of Islam, Ya Ali, satuqatilu ba'di al-nakathin wal-qasitin wal-mariqin. This is why the Holy Amir al-Mu'mineen used the same kind of categorization that the Holy Prophet had already established. So who were these people? The first group, which Amir al-Mu'mineen calls them Nakathin. These are people that swore allegiance to Amir al-Mu'mineen as the leader and then went back against it. Why? If you understand who they are, then it's easy to understand why the Amir al-Mu'mineen, immediately after making their name, talks about the glamour of the material life. Certainly it covers 2 of these groups. First group are wealthy bourgeoisies, so to speak, that they were poor at the early part of Islam, but they used the period of Uthman and his unequal or generous distribution of Baytul Mal and to become extremely hyper-rich. When we go back to the early history of Islam, the wealthy were the one who opposed the Holy Prophet because for them, status quo was vital. Anyone that comes to play around with the status quo, destabilize it, is an existential threat to them. This is exactly what happened to Amir al-Mu'mineen. They came to him, we have to come and sit with you and share the power. He said, people elected me for my principle, not for you to be sharing power with me. Let's forget about the past, the wealth that they had collected. And when the new administration, so to speak, made the first statement that my justice is in retrospect, that means I'm going to go back. If the wealth is collected from an unjust means, I'm going to remove it from your hand and strip you from that land. They realized that Ali's justice, you cannot deal with it. Why? Because they were familiar with Uthman and to a degree with Umar and Abu Bakr. Now somebody has come and says justice is non-negotiable and absolute. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded those who have knowledge to take the reign of power so that they protect the poor, the needy, and the marginalized against the arrogance within the society. Immediately they went back from their bay'ah and they went to Basra under the pretext that we want to go to Umrah. And Amir al-Mu'mineen told them that you are not going to Umrah. But Talha, Zubair, Marmar ibn al-Hakam, and few others would not have been able to cover their deed if they had no symbolic relationship with the Holy Prophet. This is the role of Aisha. And Aisha is well known for her dislike of Ali. When she was in Mecca and the news was given to her that Uthman is dead, she immediately thought that Talha or Zubair are going to be immediately chosen. But and she was on her way to Medina, as soon as she heard that people have chosen Ali, Uthmana went back to Mecca, and the whole process of revulsion against Ali started. So what we have, they have to use the wife of the Holy Prophet against the verse in the Holy Quran that clearly states that the wife should not come out of their house. They made a symbol out of her to bring together, coalesce all the opposition to Ali based on social justice. The first group normally were wealthy individuals, including Talha, Zubair. And by the way, there is a huge amount of literature if you want to read about how the 4 members of the so-called Shura, the council that Omar appointed, benefited from Uthman, and they became hyper-rich. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, Talha, and Zubair. Not to mention Uthman himself. And later on, Marwan ibn al-Hakam as well, that the Holy Prophet expelled from Medina. Uthman brings him back, gives him his daughter, he becomes the son-in-law of the Khalif, and literally opens up the Baytul Mal for him in compensation for the period that the Holy Prophet sent him out. Now you understand why these people, the Nakathin, the rich, the hyper-rich, and stand up against the Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen is principled. He has a principle about social justice. He says in a letter that he sent to his representative in Basra, that how can one sleep at night with a full stomach, knowing that in the proximity of their house, there might be poor and destitutes that they don't have enough to eat, or they do not remember the last time that they had something to eat, or they had full stomach. So that's the first group. Now, go back to the 4 hadith in Manaqib that I said. Aliyun ma'al haq, Aliyun ma'al Quran. Anta ka nafsi, ana madinatul ilm. Put them together. The image that I get from this is that wherever Ali stands is haq and Quran. Opposite, I look at Jamal. The entire group, including al-Mu'mineen Aisha, is batil. Why? Either we have to refute the ahadith manaqib from the Holy Prophet that clearly states a unique position for Ali and associates and mention his life as the center that brings together Quran, the heart of Quran, and prophetic perfection, or no other alternative but to look at them and say they outlawed. Number 2, second group, is a reference to Muawiyah and his position and those people that stood with him. وَمَرَقَتْ أُخْرَى. These are a group of people. Now, he refers to a different group. Politicians in the contemporary understanding of the meaning of politics. Crooks, hypocrites, corrupt, power grabber. The only thing that they cared about is power. Nothing more, nothing less. And I would bring an historical evidence to support this. Muawiyah himself said it. After the peace treaty with Imam Hassan leaves Kufa towards Medina. Muawiyah comes in, goes to Masjid al-Kufa immediately, delivers a sermon. I did not fight you to make you pray or fast. You already did that. I fought you because I wanted to rule over you. Power. The concept of power here. So the second group, again, we go back to the four surahs, for Manaqib Hadith. Ali on one side, I really should not even hesitate to think. Once I have this image from the Holy Prophet from Ali, then the other side has to be batil, irrespective of who that person is. So here we have Muawiyah. The third group are what I call the ghulat, simple-minded individuals, that they have no intellect to use. Remember in Surah Al-Alaq, we talked about this 2-3 nights ago. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Iqra is the knowledge. Bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq is the faith. If they are separated from each other, we get dogma. We get ghulat, extremists, irrational, either my way or the highway. Anybody that did not agree with their point of view became a kafir and deserved to be killed. And that's why the Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wasalam alayhi had no other option to literally break their back. Gave them on the beginning of Battle of Nahrawan, placed a stick or some kind of a pole. Whoever is around that pole will be saved. Whoever is outside of it will be killed. And only few were left from that battle. And he himself, again in another khutbah or short saying, I took the eyes out of this movement, dogmatic zealot movement. They are not going to survive anymore. They are not going to pose a threat to the center of power. When you get to the stage that on the night of Qadr, you want to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by sacrificing Ali, you understand what kind of a mindset are we talking about. So to wrap up everything, it's Ali molds and personifies the essence of prophethood and the heart of Quran. It's the value that Ali stands for that repels certain group of people and attracts others. Why people like Salman, Abu Dhar, and others were not afraid of Ali's justice? Because they had no desire in the material world. But people like Talha, Zubair, and others, they stood up because they had amassed huge amount of wealth that Ali's power is going to remove it from their hand because it was illegal and unethical. And they paid the price. In the Battle of Jamal, both of them were killed. One by an arrow by Marwan al-Hakam, and the other one by somebody else. So we really need to, if we talk about Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullah salam alayhi, we need to understand what does he represent. Once we clearly establish the values, the virtues that he represents, then we come back to ourselves and start asking questions. Where do we locate ourselves within this continuum? If Ali represents Quran, if Ali represents Haqq, if Ali is the essence of prophethood and the heart of Quran, what is our life? Are we in accord with Ali ibn Abi Talib, or we stay in opposition? Paying lip service is neither here nor there. It's critical that we learn his principles. We learn his virtues, the values that he stood for. They say even it was his justice that killed him. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he himself in Nahj al-Balagha says, my approach to justice removed all friends and left me with no friends or very few. Because people cannot tolerate justice of Ali ibn Abi Talib. So we really need to step back and watch ourselves and locate ourselves how close we are to his values, virtues that he stood for, and principles, or how far we are. The sooner we change, the better it is. Let's pray, inshallah, safety and reward them amply, inshallah. And during these nights and whatever is left, tonight I believe we have a program here as well as tomorrow night for those who started Friday or Saturday. Layal al-Qadr, please, as I have said it in the past, pray for each other. Ask Allah to forgive our sins. And if we have anything left that we really need to go and ask and apologize and ask forgiveness, the sooner we do it, the better it is. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.